Hi everyone who is joining us. Hi Slava. Your name sounds familiar. Hey people, hey people. You can drop we can see your name. You can drop your location, where you're joining from, what company you represent, or what niche you're working at. And in a couple of minutes we will start the webinar itself. Yeah, would be interested to hear what app you represent or what company or what category, because today we're gonna talk a lot about specifics of different categories and its compliance. So the information would be relevant. Wellness app, that's the right one to join with. Health fitness. All right. Utilities. Hi Philip. Good to see you. Before we start, there's an interesting story that happened to me just last week, and I posted about it on LinkedIn. Right when we decided to talk about compliance and funnels, I got, well, we could say scammed in a way. Last week, I was editing my PDF for like some documents here in the US where I am right now, and I needed to use quickly a PDF editor, and I rarely use it, and I rarely pay for the subscriptions to such tools. And then there was a disclaimer of the pricing policy, super white and aligned with the background of the screen, and I just didn't notice it completely, and the price was like $150, and $150, and the title was you can have access and do whatever you want with this document for the next 3 days. And I was like, okay, that's great for me. That works for me. I even didn't pay any attention, and then in 3 days I was charged $50 was the subscription. So what I did, Michael, I used my conversation with Claude, based on the FTC case, and I pulled up pulled up very aggressive email to them, and I mean I was happy that they refunded it like within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the webinar theory in practice. So that's how it works when you know the rules, when you know uh, the complaints and how you can operate with that.
Mhm.
All right, so we are about to start. Valeriy should join us, who represents the legal side of the conversation. Let's wait for a couple of more minutes, and we will outline what we're going to discuss today. While waiting for Valeriy, another question is how confident you guys think, everyone who joined and the apps you represent, how confident you think your subscription app or your subscription file funnel is compliant right now? From 1 to 10, how confident you think, where 10 is like you're super compliant, super compliant with all of these tactics. 1 is where you enjoy great tactics and you are very good at creating them. Feel free to drop a number from 1 to 10. While I was reviewing a couple of apps before the webinar, I think the average number for me, based on what I saw, is usually like 5, 6. A lot of tactics that were mentioned in the in the FTC file. Partially confined, yeah. Partially doesn't work for FTC, Adrian. I'm afraid. Yeah, it's kind of simple. Yeah, to stay compliant is simple. To have positive unit economics when you're fully compliant, it's a different question. We're going to discuss about it today as well. So we should start already. We're just waiting for our Valeriy to join. He's facing some
Yeah.
technical issues. Okay, Valeriy is here. All right,
Sorry.
Valeriy, can you hear
Yeah.
us, see us well?
Yeah. Hi there.
Okay.
Hi there. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm I'm here. Yeah.
All
I
right, all right,
apologize.
yeah, no worries. We already had some warm-up questions, so let's jump right
Yeah.
into the intro. Why we decided to talk
Mm-hmm.
about this? I think from my experience of
Good.
running webinars at Applica, it was the fastest turnaround from the idea to execution.
All
We
right.
had just a few days of registrations, and we decided to talk while it's still
Mm-hmm.
relevant and while people still talk about this. So 2 weeks ago, I read this. News about FTC and Genesis Tech, which
Yeah.
is a big
Mm-hmm.
Ukrainian based company or founded by Ukrainians company in
Really.
consumer
Mm-hmm.
business. And I was like shocked, I would say, right? The reaction was surprising because I've never read similar cases in the past for subscription business specifically. So we decided I reached out to Valeriy and we decided to talk about the practical and legal part of the
Yeah.
subscription business and how to
Mm-hmm.
stay compliant while effectively monetize users and convert users into paying
Mm-hmm.
subscribers. So we're
Okay.
gonna cover today the legal case itself, but one or two important disclaimers is that this is educational content, and what you're gonna hear here is not something that we can
Yeah.
we kind of will be backing up with the numbers right away. If you need a legal advice, proper analysis, proper understanding of your funnels, the best way is
Mm-hmm.
to reach out to your either legal team or to Valeriy or to us, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where the more constructive dialogue will happen. Second part, and which is very important as well, that we're not going to discuss any names of the companies, any names of individuals who were mentioned, and first and foremost, want we kind of wish with this webinar also luck to Genesis to figure things out
Mm-hmm.
as smooth as possible, because I personally have lots of friends there, and some of the founders we worked with them as well. So I hope it will end as good as possible at this case, right? It was FTC for Genesis. But jumping into the first question, so in plain terms, Valeriy,
Mm-hmm.
we want to hear what is the FTC alleging overall, what laws
Yeah.
are in play, and how big is the case, how big is the deal in the subscription space from your experience of previous cases that you might heard of.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation, Artem. I would like to share more experience about this case because really I was upset, I was disappointed when I read this information about company from Ukraine. I considered more details about amount of fine, and fine was so huge for this company
Mm-hmm,
because it's approximately 20% from revenue. Really, for this type of company is really damage, it's harmful situation, and I believe they can handle that, but we need to figure out in this case and try to avoid this situation and consequences for different companies, because I'm a lawyer, I'm a tech lawyer, and I'm working with mobile apps companies, and I provide advice, legal advice, how to be compliant, how to implement FTC rules, because FTC is really a powerful institution from the US, and they can reach out every company in every company in every country. Unfortunately, I see this in different cases, and I suppose if we figure out with legal requirements for apps, we can understand how to move forward, how to
mm-hmm.
handle these tasks when we would like to publish our own mobile apps, and how to work with legal compliance in App Store and Play Market.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah. So you mentioned quickly about the geographics, right? The where the founders could be present and where
yeah,
the market they run. So Genesis it comes from Ukraine, right? And most teams, especially in Eastern Europe, they build from Ukraine, Poland,
yeah,
from Cyprus, and
it's
other
true.
other other
Mhm.
countries. So the question is, um, whether that's the right assumption to know that if you're building from another country, from EU, from Ukraine, you
Yeah.
won't, and you can assume that US rules don't touch you.
Yeah.
I think that lean teams, small teams, they probably even don't think about the FTC at the beginning. So what's the right way to approach it from the beginning when you start building a company while not being present in US, but looking at the US market as the top one?
Yeah, truthful. And a lot of company they think about FTC. They think about FTC regulation will not touch them. They will not touch them because they work in different jurisdiction and their company was established, for example, in Cyprus, in European countries, or in Asia. But if you work with your target audience in the US, it's really risk for your business model because you will work with digital law in the US and you need to apply their rules in your business. If you have been building the subscription business in the US, you need to follow their rules, their policies, and understand how to apply and take these responsibilities, to be honest. Because in this case, I understand that they researched all regulations, they understand all rules, but unfortunately, they violate crucial conditions which need to apply in every company, in every app's business. And for me, I see the obvious mistakes which we can avoid when we create our own products. Well, and I believe we can tell more today about that and share with our audience crucial points which we need to implement.
Yeah. So the takeaway, I guess, with this question is that the targeting is important, not the location where you at, right? The market that you target and how you apply
That's correct.
your
That's correct. That's correct because a lot of people think if they work in different jurisdiction, FTC will not reach out them, and this is misleading.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this mistake.
Okay, yeah, so we're gonna break down today the funnels, and before going to that, Michael, you've been working as a product lead at Applica, and before that, we were engaged in another products together. How standard these practices that we're gonna cover today? How standard are they for the subscription business overall? Because there's this shadow part of the subscription business that no one is talking about. So what we're going to cover today, and for Genesis Tech specifically, how outstanding that case is, or it's more of a common practice you see.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. One of the things that all of the companies that we're sued unfortunately represent is that they have probably the best practices that all other link companies from all over the world try to copy and use for themselves. And that's where the risk lies, because you're going through the specific screens that Genesis apps are using, and you're not knowing exactly, I mean, you think, and indeed, those screens, those specific psychological principles beside them, they make users convert, they increase LTV. But as Valeriy mentioned before, those things could actually risk SU because they're referring to like shadow tactics, like some of the things that are which we'll discuss later. They represent a form of psychological manipulation that either intentionally, purposefully omits a very important information, or it creates a false sense of what is really going to happen once you buy the product. Today we'll cover all of the different manipulations, try to break them down, like what makes them work and how we can potentially utilize the conversion power behind them, but at the same time put them in the legal borders.
Yeah, that's a good outline of what we're going to do. So let's jump into the presentation. For everyone listening, we tried to, we basically took examples of complaints that FTS had to Genesis, and we recreated those screens with our own design to understand how it could be fully compliant with the allegations. So I'll be sharing my screen right now, and you just let me know if you can see it well, both the audience and the hosts.
Yeah, everything good. We'll see.
Yeah, you see it good. Okay, all right. So for the audience, let me open my chat so I can see it in the same time. All right, so what we're going to cover today, just a quick intro, and then we will go into first chapter is the disclosure, right? So how the terms, whether hidden or blurred for the users or for the users going through the funnel, unauthorized charges, money taken without real consent, and that's what happened to me last week, as I mentioned. That lies into this category. In my specific case, the consent was super like gray with text and not visible at all. So I basically didn't give my consent to the subscription. Then the third part, there's a super hard abbreviature, but we were gonna talk about the renewal terms and that are not clear or suspicious, consent overall, agreements and how we show them in the screens, and then cancellation tactics. What are the best cancellation tactics, healthy cancellation tactics, and how not to be how to stay non-compliant with the examples we're going to show. So the first part we're going to cover is the hook, pricing, payment, upsells, and cancellations. Let's start with the hook, Michael. The quiz, ads, onboarding. Everyone knows those type of ads. Pass the quiz, start the quiz, answer the question. You're welcome to elaborate on this part of the funnel and how it works with the case.
Yeah, ad is the very first and the very important, like most important part of the funnel, because everything starts from here. And the specific thing that makes the free hook case work is the word free, because it's the word that has the highest CTR across all other potential converting words. And this is where the funnel begins. Like you show the ad that immediately attracts a user, a customer, with a word that that is free, that whatever he will get, the product he needs, it will be for free for him, which may actually not be the case. It could be partially free, as in the example of the specific product. Like you get the very first taste of the product for free. You can try it for free, but that's not the actual free product. You would need to pay. And that's where the manipulation or maybe like a small deception come from. It's free, but it's not actually free. So it's true and false at the same time. And that's, where this legal nuances come in. Valeriy could help elaborating.
Yeah, so basically, just Valeriy, one thing. So basically, what we're trying to do, right? We try to persuade the user with the free, but then there's a kind of invisible line where the persuasion goes into deception, I guess, right? And that's where we need to be compliant. So Valeriy, how you see it from legal terms? Where does this cross from persuasion to compliance?
Absolutely. I agree with your points, because I see a lot of materials, a lot of marketing offers when we try to engage with users and try to create the account and receive this user in the app. But we use really misleading approaches for engagement with users, because for free this is hook. It's really dangerous for compliance system, because if we onboard the users and after that we try to use multiple charges and add additional values for these users without approval, with unclear conditions, and we didn't notify users about these crucial rules, this violation, and we need to disclose more information about subscription principles, about subscriptions conditions, because without this consent, it will be risky for us.
All right, yeah, makes sense. Michael, what's the healthy way to get out of this if you still use it?
Just one more sentence on what makes it so powerful. So, like when you think of converting a user, you would need to think of each of the steps as if you took the hand of a customer and tried to move him to the very next step. So again, like here, it's really a hook. Like here, you really just want the user to start your quiz funnel. That's it. That's why you use the most powerful form, like of this word, that makes you just making user click and see what's next. So again, like the improvement would just to be add real transparency. if you provide any free value, you just need to make clear what it is. You just need to state how many days of trial, if it's a trial subscription, you get, or you need to explicitly state that you get one PDF thing that you get once you use it, and that would be it. So from the standpoint of, it will just a copy change. Like you would need to make it just clear to a customer that what he gets will be what he actually gets in this specific example.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Again, coming back to this case that happened to me last week. So the hook was that I can have access to this specific file for the 3 days and nothing beyond that, right? And that's basically what hooked me. And I was like, okay, $145, it's nothing for the urgency I need. And especially with PDFs or utilities, there was Philip, I think, from utilities, and can confirm that for utilities, the urgency is much higher, specifically for this tasks that you need to perform right away, comparing to kind of content-based apps. So all right, so that's the hook part. On the next slide, we're going to talk about quizzes, which is very a popular type of ads as well, people around these days.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michael, here? How popular is it? For what categories, maybe also to elaborate, and what's your experience with compliance, non-compliance?
So yeah, basically, you can think of a quiz as a engine to create relevance at commitment. It's mostly needed for products that require deeper awareness, understanding of a customer. Like you need to explain him the value of a product and its relevance to you within some time. And that's where these quizzes come from. They indeed represent the form of the best practice. What they usually are, it's a set of questions that ask you about like what are your specific problems, depending on a product, what are your struggles. And in this specific example, at the end of the quiz, they show you some kind of summary, a result screen that is supposed to highlight how bad your situation is, basically, in relation to that specific problem. And again, like this is super powerful because you, first of all, committed to answering questions. You were made aware of the problems you're experiencing. And here you are being convinced that you actually have real issues and you need to fix them. And the product that you are going to potentially purchase is the solution. I can highlight to some of the issues with this specific example. First of all, it's that the score that you get is not always really based on the answers. So whatever you say, it always turns out that you're living the worst life ever.
Your bad conditions, right?
Yes, and as you see there, the examples is highlighting using red colors that kind of alerts you, and they are saying the message like high level ADHD. They're trying to use the words that make you feel very kind of stressed and anxious on a gut level, and then they reflect back the information about your life, like your life satisfaction below average, self-confidence below average. So again, the purpose is to create that sense of incompleteness that you're trying to fill with the product that you are being sold.
Yeah, and the main thing is that works, right? It works pretty
that
well.
Works. That's why everyone tries to copy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Valeriy, any comments on the compliance screen on the right? Like how compliant does it look like from the legal side actually, or it's just the
Well, in my opinion, it's really a legal challenge in this way, because I would like to say about collection data and data processing in quiz, because it's a different topic, but next risk for this page. But I think if you show more conditions and really details about this quiz and type of questions and receive this approval from users, it will be reasonable, because you can prove your your activities and consents which you received in previous time.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that's on quizzes. Personalized plan. That's another screen that is very popular these days. And I mean, it's been popular since I stepped into subscription business at all within the last 5 years. Michael, your take on this?
Yeah, that's basically another form of a similar screen. Like it's a result screen that is shown just very few screens before the paywall that is supposed to connect the problem that you were stated before, like your ADHD level is very high, to a specific plan that is going to resolve your issue. And again, as I mentioned for the previous screen, this is just a made up information. It's not backed up, and it shows you the same result independent of your answer. So the main lie here is that it's not really personalized. It's not really for you. It's just a way to convince you that we are a solution for you for this.
And you
Yeah.
shouldn't promise outcome, I would like to say, because if you promise outcome to users, this is risky for your responsibilities, because you show the result and progress and or achievements, and we need to avoid these explanations for users.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm looking at this right screen, Michael. So we added here this line, right? And what we are saying, why it keeps converting, that we kind of anchoring back, why we anchoring back. But I'm curious, like how adding these lines change anything. It just seems like it makes it more personalized for the performance, but
it makes it more real in a sense that we echo back the answers that we gave to you, what we ask you during the onboarding, the questions, and the answers we give, they are like echoed back on that screen. So you can at least see and be aware of how exactly the product is going to help you. And again, like if you come back to the previous slide, we haven't touched that. The real change here comes from using like this alert terms, very aggressive colors, to be more clinical and diagnostic, to describe things as they are, using like medical neutral language, just to state again, echo back your questions and state back what are your issues. Again, the point is to be as real as possible, not create this false sense of anxiety. And here we just echo back the answers to you, saying how exactly this plan is personalized, because that's where the lie or the deception comes from the specific screen.
Okay, yeah, at least yeah, from the case we are disclosing. All right, yeah, and I think authority and proof. You can add your 5 cents here as well. Seems like kind of the same, but another version of the same tactic. So here, what are the changes we made and why we made them? What the difference does it make to the screen?
So this specific screen, before screen, it utilizes scientific proof that is not really backed up by anything. There is no any citation to a research or to an experiment. Again, it's a form of best practice. Like scientific proofs really work. They really make people trust the product and the fact that it can solve your problems, but it can be a lie, right? Like if there is no evidence, again, it may be a lie and it should not be utilized. But fortunately, I mean, I will explain later. Maybe Valeriy will share more on the legal side of this, like evidence-based statements.
I would like to say in legal side, we really need to show evidence, prove evidence, and try to prove this truthful information. Because if we use the misleading information and try to get accept from users in these pages without all details, and try to catch their attention only and move forward with next action, it really is deception. It's deception, and deceptive in future. We will show more detail when we will work with users in app, because in next step it really will be the challenge for us to handle that.
Yeah, good point. Michael, want to close this authority proof?
Yeah. I just want to say that like scientific proof is not the only way to build trust.
Yeah.
It works, but there are other ways. Like one way is to use social proof, user proof. Like users regularly leave reviews about using your product, and you can directly use this to make sure that the product is more trustable. And like in fact, it can perform even better than scientific proof. So like both represent form of best practice, but again, the first one, the evidence-based, is just more shady.
Yeah.
So yeah, the change would be just to use real user reviews and mention how many people are using the app and that you're joining them and they share potentially the same goal as you do, like building focus if it's a productivity app, for example.
Yeah, to close this hook part, I think specifically this screen before moving to the next part, I think sorry to improve what I like in apps when it's also founder-led trust that you build with the screens, explaining the story of the app from the founder perspective, and even it might lack obviously first screens, but also the evidence, scientific evidence, or if you don't have even enough users to share the reviews from your users, and you don't want to engage into tactics of fake reviews, which is obviously popular as well. The founder-led screens explaining why I came up with this idea or why I did this or that, even on a bigger scale, works well. I've seen a few funnels that I really like that are positioned. The onboarding is basically positions from the founder voice, and it builds trust once you're completely onboarding itself already. All right, so that was on a hook part. Now we're going into spicy topic: pricing and disclosure. Pricing is everything, right? And the pricing elasticity and pricing localization and many other tests that you can run over the paywall and pricing is super important. So now let's talk about deceptive and compliant type of practices with pricing.
Yeah. So as you said, like this is the most important screen in your funnel, and that's why this screen has the most manipulations from all other screens. So to start from what we can observe as this kind of tactic that tries to trick you, one is that there is no really clear information about the full price you pay. So you can see on the right of the subscription plan, there's information about per day pricing, but you're not paying that specific price right now. You're paying much more. But again, the trick here is to hide that information from you, so you actually tap on Get My Plan. Another issue is that the information that this is a subscription, meaning that it will have like rebilling on a certain cadence, monthly, annually, is also hidden. Like it's the smallest text. It has intentionally a gray color that kind of match the background. Again, the purpose is to hide that information from you. And the third thing here is the timer, right? Like, again, timers, they work very well because they create the sense of urgency, because like you need to pay now or you will lose your offer. And in general, they are good to use. They're used everywhere. But the problem here is that when the timer stops, nothing actually changes. So again, it's basically a lie, right? The timer stops, nothing changes.
Okay.
Yeah, and another thing I just wanted to add is that the information about pricing, it's really hidden below the CTA, and user would just not be able to observe it, or he would think it would be present sometime later, but it's not. It should be on that screen. And yeah, Valeriy can add on that part.
Yeah, I would like to add more information about legal side. And in terms of conditions, we need to write about pricing models and all purchases in your app. Well, and this screen, these pages I see, but in the legal regulations, we need to put more information and rules about all your subscriptions in your app, and you need to describe how to create your account and how to how to set up your payouts and payments.
Mhm.
Because if you don't see all conditions with prices, with different conditions, for example, or because if the price can be changed, can change without your approval, it so unsatisfied for all people. But we need to notify our users about this opportunity. If we can change this price in several times or in next months, we need to notify the users and receive their consent, because without their consent, we violate rules from App Store, from FTC, and then can claim us, and we need to cancel this subscription because we violate these policies in App Store and Play Market.
Yeah, that is a good addition, definitely. And I think from what you said on the link side, definitely that's not about mentioning everything on the pricing, but having very structured and informative documents like the pricing policy and other type of documents that you can refer to. And that's, I think, what we are trying to visualize here, right, as well. Purchase information about the CTA, the timer, which keeps the urgency, right? So Michael, here is not an idea to remove, to like, if it creates an urgency, then it's bad, right? It's fine and legally compliant, but the point of fact is how you explain it transparently by being able to click on their profile, read what you are accepting, and stuff like this. All right.
But that's a good offer for engage with the users. But we need to notify about renewal subscriptions, how they will be charged. Because without disclosing these conditions, it will be a violation. That's my legal point.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. I think later on also we're going to talk a bit more about renewal specifically. I suggest to move forward to the next slide so we can cover all the parts. We have an interesting discount wheel that we've tested for many clients ourselves in the past. What do you think, Michael, about this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is a similar thing to the scientific proof. Like, it's a good tactic, but there are other tactics that may even outperform this one. Again, the psychological principle behind it is that like they like to this specific discount, there's like uncertainty is introduced, so it's more like a gamble. And when you actually have the outcome, you value it more because it was uncertain, right? You played a fictitious game and you earn something. But again, the issue here is that this gambling is false. You always get the same outcome no matter what you do. So it's not really a gamble. So and like yeah, again, like just one point to make is that that's not an only thing that could help people to value their discount more.
Yeah. I want to quickly come back because it's kind of same conversation. I just opened the chat and Phil dropped the question. What is your opinion regarding limited time offer timer? Is it compliant? We slightly discussed it, but let's probably address this specific point from the legal side, Valeriy. How compliant is the timer or anything limited with the offer for the audience?
That's compliant. And from FTC, I didn't read different comments about forbiddance. That's not forbidden in marketing promotion for developing your app, but you should notify your user about all conditions this limited time offer, because if they will receive auto renewal and unauthorized charges, it will be risky for you. If this type of misleading, that's bad approach, and we need to avoid that. but limited time offer timer, this is good for using in material, in marketing purposes.
Okay, yeah, that's clear enough. Let's use it on every screen then. On the discount, coming back to the discount wheel, I think that's Michael closing this slide. These are the alternative examples of what you mentioned works better, right? Can you elaborate here why?
Yeah, so in terms of example, here I mean, again, like you get a discount, but there is like an added form of gamification. You still don't know the discount, so you have to open it, you have to erase the thing to see it, but there is no lie behind it because that's not a fictitious game. You are just like erasing it, you're seeing the discount, and that is it. So again, it makes you value the discount more, but it's not lying to you in a sense that it's a game where you're in a random chess get something, right? So again, it's powerful and allows you to bypass or like fit the legal conditions.
Regarding legal conditions, Valeriy, on this type of tactic discounts, what is your take?
This type of tactic, we saw them, and really, I don't want to advise our audience and our people to avoid discount because people, the lawyers, they can forbid everything in marketing, but we will be a blocker. I don't want to take this part in your business, and I think we need to apply that, and we will apply that. But in our conditions, we need to work with users with type of discount and our goals. Because if we give more values for that opportunity, for example, if we buy the subscription with a better price than we use without discount, I think it's a good approach for markets, and every company use that.
Yeah, definitely. Marketing at the end of the day and discounts is something that pays salaries to a legal team as well. So you
It's a
wouldn't want
sales
to
process.
cut it off. Yeah, there are super advanced users, and I sometimes one of them that knows how to get a discount by opening, closing the paywall and stuff like this. So you can try that tactic as a user of an app. All right, so that's what we touched on the pricing and disclosure, and at the end of the webinar we will wrap it up. There are two questions that I can see in the chat, but we will drop them when they are relevant to the topic. There's one on cancellation and another on after renewals. Let's move into payment part now. Just touch, probably we have here we have one screen, so let's touch on the payment and consent part. Michael, your turn.
So yeah, this is a checkout page. What you see once you click on the CTA on the pricing page, and what is basically hidden here or shown here is the real renewal price that you would have to pay after the initial period. So in the example on the left, it says you will be charged only $5, which is true for the first month or the first week, but then on the second cadence, you'll be charged $50. And it has to be crystal clear. Valeriy will add on it the full information about the regular price after the intro price and what you're paying right now.
Yeah, Larry, let's add here, because it seems like it's when it comes already to specific number of dollars we are charging, that's even more aggressive and probably more regulated from the FTC side.
To be honest, it was the main reason for Genesis case. And when I researched and reviewed these materials, I saw information about prices and recurring charges, because they changed amount of recurrent charging without approval from users. And that was the main violations in their case and reason for fine.
Okay, yeah, this is the most important screen that you need to remember from the case.
Exactly.
I think. Michael, how do we get out of the situation where we want to charge additional $5, but we want it to convert well?
Well, I mean, as Valeriy said, we're obliged to make the full renewal price explicit, and that's why on the screen on the right we say regular price, and like use the word regular, trying to make it not feel as important, and then we introduce the intro discount, right? Just to make sure that users actually convert at least for this $5. So we represent the full price that we're obliged to show, but at the same time, we're making sure that you experience this very first purchase as a very low commitment because you're getting such a big discount. And that's basically the purpose of introducing like the regular price and then the discount and what you're paying right now, which has to be highlighted.
So in a nutshell, there are some healthy ways of getting the same LTV from a user through this type of a funnel, or LTV, let's say, but doing it in a more transparent way, which requires additional couple of layers of tactics, right, that you talked before and after. But at least there's a lower chance to be sued for this compliant deceptive tactic. All right, that was on the payments. Anything else to add on the payments, maybe, or are we good to go? I think we're good to go, right? We'll have two more parts on the upsells. Sorry, on the payments, actually, on the payment side, we had the question here. I think this is related more to the payments. Michael, probably related to you from Adrian, is a 3-day trial versus 7-day trial that auto converts inherently risky, or it's fine if it's disclosed? A 3-day trial,
That's
a 3-day versus 7-day.
Yeah, sorry, that's a good term. That's the right term from FTC compliance.
Oh, you mean what term specifically? To disclose?
If we talk about App Store regulations, they advise about 3 days for that. That's enough time.
No, not less than that, you mean, not shorter than that.
Yeah.
But enough to test. Okay.
Enough for trial.
Okay.
For trial period.
Michael, anything to add on this one while I'm reading the next questions?
Yeah, I can read the rest. I think Valeriy covered that.
Okay, let's cover upsells, and I'll get familiar with the rest of the questions because there are some interesting ones. So upsells is it's a tactic that everyone likes as well because it's a good way to with lower effort, let's say with less amount of effort, to get additional boost to your LTV. Michael, what's your take on this screen specifically and on this tactic overall?
Yeah, as you said, like upsell is the best and the easiest way to increase LTV per user because users already purchased, they bought a product, and as soon as they've done it, they're still high intent, and it's so easy to sell them something else. Again, like in the example, they are doing it well in terms of explaining or showing the value that you are getting. Like they're trying to create a perception that you're getting multiple things as a pack, right? So you're basically have like a positive bargain. But the thing that is not visible here is that this is something you actually have to pay for. And again, this is just hiding the information about the price. Yeah, Valeriy can add his point of view on the upselling.
Yeah. Well, upselling policies, it's really in part of every apps, and upselling process, it's good for business part, for business structure. But for legal side, we need to have a separate consent for every purchase, because without consent in purchases, we have the same situation with buying process in app. When we buy the subscription and renewal the subscriptions with upsell without consent forms, without approval from users, it's risky for us. And in this situation, we need to figure out with users how to choose right goods or services in apps for selling. Because without these legal processes and legal support, for example, if we didn't receive the request for purchase, if we didn't explain type of services which we provide for our users, we don't have enough evidence for protect our interests, for protect our payments and payments policies in apps. Well, and we need to show users all Upsells takes and points, and should receive their approval for their action.
Okay, and here we are trying to show on the compliance screen the agreement, the consent from the user, right? So we added here the number 19.99 a month, auto renewals monthly, canceled anytime in profile. That's type of the consent that is good to have and enough to have to be compliant.
It's good. It's good to have, but in the best way, we need to put the checkbox. The checkbox with terms and conditions,
the additional
where we
action that the
provide
user
more
makes.
information. Yeah, we need to have additional action for proof, receiving consent, and describe in our terms of conditions more details about Upsells policies.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So as much information as possible while figuring out how to not to make that screen super friction point, right?
For users.
Yeah.
But it will influence for conversions. I understand that, but
Yeah.
in legal side we need to implement that.
Okay, yeah, on our Upsells now, yeah, I think the key takeaway to have as much consent as possible, and I guess even trying to A/B test it in order to understand where the conversion works better. Let's jump into the last part, cancellation and refunds, and we have an interesting question for the cancellation here as well. But let's cover first this table, Michael. What do we want to talk about here, and then I'll drop a question.
So yeah, this basically represents the part of the funnel that happens once you already converted, right? So you made a conversion, you have a subscription to a product, and then you may consider canceling a subscription. And there are a group of tactics that try to add as much friction as possible to the process of cancellation, so you never even bother to cancel it, right? It adds so much friction that, again, like in certain examples, it's super annoying. So some of the, again, tactics that are used to do that is like there's no cancel button in settings or profile, or it's hidden behind other multiple tabs. Another thing is there are multiple entry points to the cancellation flow, but some of them is broken. Like it doesn't work. There is like a real one that works, but there's another one more visible that doesn't work. The third one, which you mentioned at the very beginning, like the only way to get a refund is to write direct email. Again, that's super friction. And also another, I mean, it's actually a tactic, and I'll share later why it can work. It's to ask you a lot of questions about why you're leaving, and in between the questions, you are suggested multiple offers, and sometimes those offers and questions, they're loop on themselves, meaning that you need to have a very certain consequence of answers to the flow in order to actually cancel it. Otherwise, if you give wrong answers, it will just loop you back to the previous screens. So yeah, I mean, so of tactics that just, again, as I said before, try to create as much friction as possible for you to cancel the subscription.
And before jumping into legal part, I mean, it's a partial legal question as well. How, from Yuri, how easy does cancellation legally have to be? I think the spoiler as easy as possible, but they run cancellation email-based cancellation right now. And what are your maybe from legal perspective advice, and from product perspective, Michael, best tactics for email-based cancellation? So whoever wants to jump first.
Yeah, please. I would like to say, because in legal perspective, the cancellation policies is really the most hard part, because I see in apps, every apps, they should have built their support team, because it's really a challenge for communication with the users. Because if the users send their request for cancellation, but we refuse, and we didn't do that, and if we reject without reason circumstances, without reason, without reasonable situation, we violate the rules, and this is the same situation because we can receive a lot of requests from users. They would like to cancel their subscription because they will submit the complaint in App Store and Play Market, and FTC will know about that. If we have a lot of these complaints, they can work with these claims and try to handle that. But the app will suffer from complaints, and in this situation, really, we need to create rules in our apps how to handle issues with complaints from users, how to consider these complaints, how to define the reasons for reject, how many times we need to switch off the payments from users. And we describe these rules in terms of conditions, but important process, this is set up a support team, because without support team and email setup with working with a request, it will be hard to handle all issues with every users. But we should understand that if we receive every complaint, that should be considered.
Yeah, and then follow-up question, and then we're gonna go back to email-based cancellation. So Lucy, she asked, or he asked, if we just refund anyone who complains, like automatically we do refund. Does it lower our legal risk potentially?
Automatically refund, if we set up the automatically refund, it's a better way to handle issues with users, but it's so ineffective for generating revenue. So business, I think it's unreasonable.
Yeah, I think, well, Lucy, I added the word automatic, so it's not necessarily automatic, but that's just anyone who complains, we refund right away. So I definitely agree, though, from the business context, it's yeah, it's last refund that I got last week. It was like 10 minutes, and they already refunded me, which made an assumption that most likely they received quite a lot of these complaints too. But they even didn't argue with me for any arguments, like non-complaint arguments that I suggested to them.
But we should have 3 days for considering every complaint. After our review, we can answer and provide our feedback about cancellation or reject.
Okay, that's why we kind of win some time to figure out the case. Okay, makes sense. Michael, just to come back to email-based cancellation, do you have any best practices to recommend? How easy does the cancellation legally can be or have to be? Maybe something to add.
I can just say that, like, how you can make sure that cancellation doesn't happen, or at least you are able to convert people with a discount. So there are a few tactics that allow you to reduce the cancellation rate. One is to reflect the value of the product back to a user once he starts the cancellation flow. So, for example, if it's a fitness app, you can show the user how many workouts he has done during the time of his subscription, what progress he has achieved. Another one is to, again, like this is also used in this decideful examples. It's to, but it's asking a question: why do you want to cancel your subscription? And if you say that price is too much, we generally provide you an offer which may have an urgent timer next to it, but that's a real thing. And only if you say that the price is too high. And by utilizing these things, you can reduce the cancellation rate in many cases.
Yeah, okay, that's a good answer, good enough, I think. And Yuri, if you wanna elaborate on your question, let us know. But let's jump into the last part, like seven last minutes of the webinar. So we discussed some questions. We discussed this five blocks of different tactics, and there are a couple of more questions. So first that I want to do is to step up from specific screens, and because it's more like a front end, what user sees, how he reads it, how he accepts, or he shows the consent or he doesn't. Valeriy, beyond the screens, on the back end, right, of a legal team, what are the
Yeah.
how the small to mid or mid to mid plus size team should approach documents part with
Yeah.
legal compliance, and what top like standard documents policies should be in place, and whether those policies are the same and you can just copy and paste it from your competitors, or you should specify it completely for your company. How does it work?
Yeah, thanks for these questions, but I agree with you. I see a lot of approaches in that because we can use the legal documents and generate these legal documents in ChatGPT without legal check, without compliance. And we're not sure for applying this document, but maybe it's way for fasting, for resolving this legal issues. Well, but I can help with review the app and create legal documents, for example, terms of conditions, privacy policy, refund policy, and additional legal documents which necessary for all apps. Because if you don't audit your functionalities, your services, your payout system, your cancellation policies in your app, really you risk to breach of rules in App Store, in Play Market, and I can help you to figure out with FTC regulation and explain how to implement that in your app. Well, my goal to describe and show you all conditions, all legal requirements for your apps, and include this in your legal package, and ensure full compliance with those, because the bad result if your app will be banned. And I would like to avoid this situation because I see similar cases with different apps with violations. But FTC case is the most and huge situation in the world. But I know how startups they handle with that. Because they meet with legal regulations and don't understand all requirements. But if I explained that before publishing, you can understand more details how will you work with your product in future and how you will be compliant.
So I guess there's a kind of a package of terms of use, privacy policy, subscription after renewal terms.
The main documents, this is terms of condition and privacy policy, and we can include all information about subscriptions, models, cancellation, refunds, and user rights and obligations.
Okay. I mean, back when I was young and we were creating apps, I was just copying it and pasting it, to be honest, from other apps,
Maybe
and it worked.
That's
like
easy
it was
way, but unresponsible.
Yeah, I mean,
But
definitely.
unresponsible.
That's why we are having this conversation. I have matured, right? Okay, so two questions, similar questions from the audience. There's anonymous attendee who hasn't give his consent to show his name, which is totally fine. Are one-tap upsells after checkout a problem? We rely on them for LTV, so it's quite important for their team. Are one-tap upsells after checkout a problem? Do you understand the question? Or maybe Michael, do you understand the tactic? One-tap upsells after checkout.
One the upsell, meaning that the
one tap. So
process.
one move, basically one motion.
Yeah.
I mean, from my experience, it is a normal, but I mean, Valeriy said that you need a checkbox additionally. Again, like I haven't experienced
For
this.
every purchase, we need to have a consent form.
Yes,
This is
yes,
violation.
yeah. So again, from my experience, yeah, we don't usually use a consent box. We have a one tap upsell, but it could have some risks, as Valeriy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one purchase and one approval.
Yeah.
This principle, it works.
Okay, and the last question from the audience, and we basically had a quite fruitful Q&A. So for the personalized plan, I can complain by saying you generated something for me based on my data, which means that you are now storing my data, something I've never agreed to. How would you comment on this from a legal standpoint?
Well, sensitive data with healthcare apps, for example, because they collect a lot of personal information about people and they store that information and use this information for business goals, for provide functionalities in app. But unfortunately, it's separate topic with risky with issues because we have different regulations in the US and European countries, for example, GDPR, which regulate the questions with data collection and data processing, and every apps which receive this data, we need to divide type of information which we can collect or information which where we have more prohibitants. And because without permission system for sensitive data set, it's really risky for all jurisdiction in the world, and we have higher regulations and more risks for this field. And I'm sure healthcare apps and diet apps and more close apps for this topic, they have more responsibilities and liabilities issues with regulations. In privacy policy, for example, it's separate block which we need to collect all type of data, how do we use this data, where do we store this data, how we can collect and transfer this data. And when, for example, we disclose all information about third party, which can give access for this data and them. Well, it's really challenge for regulations, but my advice to minimize the type of data which you collect. It's a legal base for your future, because if you collect a lot of sensitive data, you'll have a lot of liabilities and you can handle that.
Yeah, there's in many of the answers, there's I feel like I feel for many teams attention. For marketing team, there's attention rising. For product team, attention rising when you recommend this.
Between marketing and legal.
Yeah. So my last question would be more kind of practical, not from specific tactics perspective, but from the philosophy of building the company. So much more builders are coming into subscription world, right? With AI, a lot of developers, lean teams, which AI partially made it possible to be lean, but to scale on a relatively high scale for subscription app businesses. How should a small product team who doesn't even think or cares about user consent, all that stuff, should think about the legal part when the ads are scaling, the users are coming into the funnel, you need to run multiple A/B tests, and you don't even have a legal team. Of course, like, let me circle back to the way I paraphrase the question. The team should care about the user consent, the privacy policy, and many other things. But many times there's lots of things on the plate that you don't even have. That legal part feels like less relevant and less important. So how, from your experience, like, would you recommend approaching scaling of the business from a legal standpoint, so you don't take it too big of a challenge right now, but also you don't have any backfiring later when you're already at the stage that FTC can notice you, kind of?
Well, I can provide the consultation for the startups. To be honest, it will be better approach for advising and audit their apps. Well, because I can make a legal review and prepare a list of
Yeah.
questions and list with the legal requirements and show resources how to check the product. Because
Mm-hmm.
this is the best approach to compare your product with different companies, because you can find the similar product with experience, with background, and use this experience and implement in your case. Well,
Mm-hmm.
and after our webinar, I believe we can share with our audience the checklist with our advice, with our questions, which you can use for developing your app.
Yeah, that's a very good lead magnet hook, and it provides enough of
Absolutely.
value, and we will definitely have a
Absolutely.
data consent on it.
Mhm.
We will be
Mhm.
sure to include it. So I think what feels like to me is that, yeah, I will definitely don't pay much attention, to be transparent here, because it's less relevant for me as a business owner, right, while scaling the business. But having someone reliable on a side, I mean, maybe building the right foundation at the beginning and then scaling, that's a
Yeah.
good approach, at least. And I think from the communication standpoint, there was a good comment on my LinkedIn post that often, even when the founder wants to build a healthy, compliant product, then the product team
Hmm.
starts running A/B tests, and then the A/B test works well, kind of more kind of into shadow area of the subscription business, and then the founder even doesn't know about that this is happening. So the point of that conversation or comment was that there should be a transparent communication within the team or the culture on how we approach or how we treat a user as a unit, right? A user as a person, basically. And on that cultural level, kind of more philosophical level, build the foundation. Of course, looks like a,
Hmm.
you know, positive, ideal, moral world. We all want to make money, but at least we should kind of balance that. Um, well, yeah, every business will eventually become a porn website if you run enough A/B tests. That's yeah, I totally agree with that. So I think one takeaway from both of you, and we will conclude. Michael, one takeaway or one kind of line from the webinar recommendation, and one from you, Valeriy, and then we'll wrap it up.
So yeah, from my side is that you shouldn't be scared to look at the best competitors and try to kind of copy their tactics, because they've run hundreds of A/B tests and they've proven that they needed to be used in order to convert people. But at the same time, you need to clearly understand the red lines, and you need to be aware of the potential legal mistakes you can commit, and find a workaround that would not allow you to use your users, but at the same time utilize the powerful psychology behind the quiz files.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you,
I think,
Valeriy.
yeah, and I think you should be careful with the legal compliance, because we see a lot of cases with apps, and I believe we can choose the easy way. Easy way when we know about obvious mistake and we can avoid that. For example, when we choose the field for developing apps, when we choose the type of subscriptions, when we write cancellation policies, when we
Mm-hmm.
include all conditions about payments, about complaints from users. If we restrict our liabilities in apps and notify users about all conditions, all obligations, really we can avoid in future more disputes.
Mm-hmm.
And more complaints around your apps. And the lower risk for you, this is bad. But really, if you talk with FTC, and FTC regulator will punish you and your business, it will be hard and so harmful. And really, in every country, they can reach out to you and they can touch your business and harm, damage for your revenue and for
Mm-hmm.
your business interests. And I would like to avoid that and advise you how to go away um, and build your business in safe part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So not start subscription business.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good takeaway at the end of the day. I think last sentence from me, it's more like on both sides of building the culture in the team and looking at the performance is treating retention as a very important aspect of your product, because for me retention shows not just the performance, right, if the user retaining, but the value of the product. And the retention means that users already passed a lot of the consents, and even if you missed that, right, if you like not super legally compliant for some reason, the retention and the value, which is explained by retention, shows that you are building the value for your users and you're focusing on that especially. So I really like those clients that we can work with or we worked with that focus on that, and that for me right away makes a difference on why a person started building a business in the subscription world. So on this note, I thank everyone for joining. I thank you guys, Michael, Valeriy, for the conversation.
Yeah.
It was,
Thanks for
I think,
having me.
super fruitful. And we will share with everyone what we discussed here. For everyone building, good luck with the compliance and with the tactics that you use. You can reach out to us or Valeriy for additional help on this, and enjoy the rest of your week. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
goodbye.